Hi everyone, this is Menz here. I'm playing the Tier 9 American Tank Destroyer, the T95. Now, the T95, yes, it has great frontal armor at 305, but some places of it are flat, so it isn't as good as it used to be when it first was introduced, because a lot of the newer tanks do have very accurate and high penetrating guns. But overall, the 305 in the front and the 152 on the sides and the decent spaced armor do give it a great deal of protection, but the main downside is that 13 km/h speed limit, which you will kind of hit on flat ground, but going uphill you're definitely not going to hit that. Now, the gun on the T95 is very good once you get to the top 155mm gun, since it has 750 average damage, good penetration, okay rate of fire. It's not great, but the main downside is that .38 accuracy at 100 meters, since a lot of your shots you won't be able to actually hit weak spots on tougher tanks, and some of your shots will miss more than you would like, and every shot counts on this tank since you are very slow and people can flank you pretty easily. Now, the 120mm AT gun, it's an okay in-between gun, but while you would want a higher rate of fire for this gun with the 155mm, the 120 just doesn't cut it, since you don't pack enough of a punch to deter people from attacking you, and it's still not as deadly. It needs a little bit more rate of fire to actually be considered viable over the 155mm. But anyway, I'm gonna hop into a battle with this, see what kind of map we get. I've seen a lot of people playing this tank kind of, in my eyes, wrong, since a lot of people think that since it's slow, they can't really attack somewhere, or they have to sit in this spot way in the back, or they're too slow to actually help out the fight, so they don't try to move very far. Now, that's approaching the T95 the wrong way. Yes, you should stay at kind of a distance on most maps. A map like this, you can't really stay at a distance, since Artie is going to hit you, or you're not really going to provide much use to your team, as they get killed in the 5 and 6 lines in most matches. Now, basically, you want to pick a side that you're going to be able to help out pretty quickly. Not that quickly, since you are very slow, but quick enough that you're not useless. So I'm going to stay in the north, since I spawn closer to the north side, and the fight mainly takes place around E5, E6, so that's not too far for the T95. Now, you want to stay a little bit away from enemies, which is a little bit hard on this map, since I can't exactly do that. I can bump out north, which I might, yeah, I'm actually going to bump out north here, only because if I go where our 4 tanks there are going, I'm going to be very close to the enemy, and when you look at the T95, your main weak spots people are going to be aiming for, if they're not using gold round to just punch right through your flat armor, are those 2 hatches that pop out of the top. Almost any tank that faces you, except for some tier 8s and most tier 7s, can't go through them reliably, but any other tank can just punch right through them. So you really want to stay at kind of mid to long range, but not too far that your accuracy or gun comes into play, and at the same time you kind of want to move around a little bit so people can't hit you as well. And yay, our Artie stupidly drowned itself. You gotta love that, especially our tier 9 Artie. Now, some T95 drivers, whether you sit in D2 or sit in the south where you're outside the base, that isn't gonna do your team any good. You really wanna get to a spot where people can see you, you're not completely obliterated by Artie, and you're taking a bit of shots to use your armor. I just had to clear out that wall, which kind of sucks, but Nobody else is here to help me do that. Kinda hoping that the enemy decides to push around this left side here, so they come into contact with me.
We're immobilized.
Fairly sure the Black Prince. Okay, he's popping out there.
Let's roll.
Now, you don't have great gun depression, so I wasn't able to hit him when he first came out. I'm just gonna wait for him to either die or pop back out from behind that wall. He's not gonna hide behind there forever. And it looks like our team's gonna kill him now.
Let's go.
So I'm actually gonna start pushing up. Only because that AMX, I'm not too concerned about him. All I have to do is kind of angle a little bit and he shouldn't be able to go through me. But I need to start helping out my team since they're taking a lot of damage. They shouldn't be because they're pushing up for some reason. I really don't know why people push up without waiting for tanks with actual armor to help them out. Like that ST1, he's fine, but the IS-8 stupidly pushed up and died, even though he knew he didn't have a lot of HP and there was a tank there to kill him pretty easily. And this JP, he's pushing out there and he's most likely going to get shot by the Conqueror. Don't push out there. Now, I'm not going to push up to the flag, only because if the enemy continues to push through the middle, we're going to lose. And that TD should be able to be killed fairly easily. I might be able to get a shot on him now. I'm actually gonna load an APCR shell, land whale, and I'm actually gonna start heading to the middle. Yeah, I can't continue to push. I'm gonna be flanked if I keep pushing that way. Now that already is a concern.
Track fixed. Let's roll. Enemy vehicle destroyed.
Hopefully I can get in here and he can't hit me. Basically don't want to get to a point where this E50 can flank me easily. Yeah, it's getting kind of annoying. But luckily I have a spall liner on. Just gonna wait for my TDs to come. I'm not gonna push completely around the corner. Oh shit, that T-30's there. Now this is one of the downsides of T95. You can't really flex to where you need to be and get to where you actually can do good. Now I'd like to go kill the E50, but I'm not going to be able to make it there with that T30 up here. I kind of just have to face this guy. Let's see what... he's not going to push on me. I have no choice other than to push on him now. Shoot me! And this kind of sucks in T95. But not much you can do in situations like this other than you get repaired. But once someone gets behind you, you're pretty screwed because your engine is not very strong and it will get damaged quite
The engine is
often.
fixed, but it's not going to hold up its speed.
Don't think I'm going to be able to get out of this one.
This vehicle is heading.
But anyway, as you see, this T95, 4 kills, did the best I could, but in the end, our team for whatever, all you have to do, even though the T95 is very slow and it might be a little annoying to wait for your friendly T95 to help, just let the fucking T95 drive out in front and take a little bit of damage for you. There's no point rushing out and dying when you have a tank with 305mm of armor on the front coming up to help. But as you see, once I got up to the fight, I was easily able to help take out the enemies, and the armor, although it's not as good as it was in the past, because there's now premium rounds or credits, it still holds up fairly well. And the T95, not for everybody, but as you see here, just over 3,000 damage on a loss, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, I did the most damage out of everyone in the match, and I took 12,000 damage, which if you put a heavy spall liner like this on, super heavy spall liner, you can shrug off basically any artillery shell that hits you directly, unless if it's a high caliber tier 9 or tier 10 arty. Mainly tier 10 arty. Tier 9's kind of hurt, but tier 8 and 7 arty, you can just kind of ignore them. They'll track you, but you just kind of save your repair kit for that one time that you're going to be flanked and die, or you could be flanked and killed by an enemy. And aside from that, just keep your repair kits until you absolutely need them, and your main thing is just try not to get flanked. But as your allied team died like they did in that match, there's not much you can do. But at the same time, any other tank, you would still have quite a hard time actually pulling out a win on that match. But anyway, T95 is a great tank in my opinion. Not for everybody since it is slow and the gun's a little bit inaccurate at long range, but overall it's one of the more unique tanks in World of Tanks, and although it could use a slight bump in the speed or engine power, it still does its job well in my opinion, and it's a fun tank if you can get past the low speed. But anyway, thanks for watching my video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out my website, wotguru.com.